Hi, this is Mark Struthers. This presentation covers the critical aspects of MRI safety, focusing on patient injuries, equipment hazards, and the challenges faced in ensuring safe MRI practices. MRI is radiation-free, but that doesn't mean it's risk-free. From burns and panic attacks to projectiles and contrast reactions, the dangers are real, just different. MRI technology relies on complex physics and magnetic fields. Understanding its basic mechanisms and safety guidelines is essential for minimizing risks. Proper screenings and protocols play a critical role in protecting patients and staff during MRI exams. The real dangers of MRI aren't hypothetical. Burns, device failures, and projectile accidents have injured and even killed patients when safety rules were ignored. MRI is often celebrated as a radiation-free imaging modality, but it is by no means risk-free. Unlike CT or X-ray, MRI avoids ionizing radiation, yet documented adverse events remind us that safety depends on much more than dose.
New at 10, a freak accident at a Bay Area hospital, an MRI scan that went horribly wrong.
And now there are claims that lack of oversight is putting patients at risk. KTV's Brooke Soros investigates how life-saving equipment can become dangerous and life-threatening.
It was late February at Kaiser's Redwood City Medical Center. An ordinary day from the outside, but inside an MRI technician reported hearing screaming coming from the other room. This photo explains why. The hospital bed was pulled uncontrollably into the MRI machine by its magnetic force. A nurse became pinned between the bed and the machine, reports say. She suffered crushing injuries. The patient fell to the floor. The incident is detailed in a Cal OSHA investigation, concluding Kaiser failed to ensure the door to the MRI room remained closed and employees were following safety guidelines. The injured nurse recalling,
"I was getting pushed by the bed."
MRI scans are radiation-free, but not risk-free. Documented hazards include burns from RF heating, projectile accidents with ferromagnetic objects, implant heating or malfunction, contrast reactions, which are rare but real, and psychological distress such as claustrophobia. Claustrophobia, anxiety, and panic attacks are well documented, leading to aborted scans, sedation, or avoidance of future exams. MRI uses strong magnetic fields and radiofrequency pulses to generate detailed images of the body. Knowledge of magnetism, electromagnetic waves, and imaging sequences is fundamental to understanding MRI operations and related safety concerns. MRI sequences are not just buttons on a console. They are the language of the magnet. Each sequence emphasizes different tissue properties, suppresses or highlights signals, and carries its own risks for artifacts, heating, and scan time. Without understanding them, radiographers are missing pathology, misinterpreting images, or exposing patients to unnecessary discomfort. Rigorous screening for metal implants, devices, and other contraindications is vital to prevent injuries. Following standardized protocols ensures consistent safety practices and helps identify potential hazards before scanning. External conductors can act as antennas, inducing electrical currents when exposed to MRI electromagnetic fields. This can cause localized heating, which may result in burns or tissue injury if not properly managed. Despite precautions, patients can experience injuries during MRI exams. These include thermal burns, physical trauma from movement or positioning, and hearing damage caused by scanner noise. Thermal injuries may result from radiofrequency energy absorption. leading to skin burns. Causes include contact with conductive materials, improper positioning, or prolonged scan times. Preventive measures include careful monitoring and patient education. Patients may feel MRI burns as warmth, tingling, or stinging, but often they feel nothing until after the exam. That's why preventative positioning, padding, and vigilance is far more reliable than waiting for a patient to complain. Most MRI burns are preventable. The key is no loops, no metal, proper padding, and constant vigilance. Prevention is about respecting the invisible RF energy as much as the magnetic field itself. The radiographer should make sure that the patient does not touch the insides of the magnet itself. If they do touch the insides of the magnet, they can burn, and they can also cause burns by positioning, called loop burns, where they have their hand on their waist making a complete circuit, or their hands crossed, or their thighs too close together. These are called loop burns. On the right-hand side, we can see what happens when you touch the inside of the magnet while you're getting an examination. And here we have a burn caused by touching the interior of the magnet. The other two burns are different types of burns. One is from leaving a cable over the patient, that's B, and A shows where the thighs were pressed together during examination, causing a loop burn. Hazardous effects of electromagnetic interference on patients and their implantable cardiac devices as seen on an MRI scan. This table goes through the differences from potential hazards and risks for patient and device. High field MRI doesn't just image implants, it can twist, heat, or disable them, turning life-saving devices into potential liabilities if not MR conditional. Patients may suffer physical trauma due to involuntary movements or improper positioning in the MRI scanner. This can cause bruising or musculoskeletal strain. Proper patient support and communication reduce these risks. MRI may be radiation-free, but for many patients, the greatest hazard is psychological, not physical. Claustrophobia, anxiety, and panic attacks are well documented, leading to aborted scans, sedation, or avoidance of future exams. Studies show that up to a third of patients experience significant distress, and more scans are lost to fear and discomfort than to burns or implants. The contrast media gadolinium isn't risk-free. Most patients experience nothing more than mild, short-lived side effects, yet there are rare reactions. Today's safer agent and screening protocols have made serious complications extremely uncommon. But the key lesson remains: contrast is safe when respected and not assumed harmless. The loud acoustic noise of MRI often exceeds 110 to 130 decibels and can cause more than just discomfort. Without proper ear protection, patients risk temporary threshold shifts, tinnitus, and in rare cases, permanent hearing loss. Hearing injuries are preventable, but only if the technologists treat ear protection as essential and not optional. MRI scanners produce loud noises that can damage hearing. Use of ear protection like earplugs or headphones is essential to safeguard patients' hearing during scans. Some of the most dangerous MRI incidents involve ferromagnetic projectiles and equipment-related explosions. Understanding these hazards helps in creating safer environments and emergency preparedness. MRI machines use cryogens like liquid helium to maintain superconducting magnets. Quench events release these gases rapidly, posing asphyxiation and explosion risks. Safety protocols must address cryogen handling and emergency ventilation. Though uncommon, explosions may occur due to equipment malfunction or oxygen accumulation. Proper maintenance and environmental monitoring are necessary to mitigate such hazards. A quench is essentially the magnet's emergency shutdown, a sudden collapse of superconductivity that vents helium gas. It's rare, but when it happens, the risks shift from radiation or magnetism to cryogen safety and oxygen displacement. That's why MRI rooms are equipped with quench pipes, oxygen monitors, and emergency evacuation protocols. Quenches are rare, but when venting fails, helium can suffocate, freeze, or trap patients. Proof that even the magnet's safety valve carries its own risk. Ferromagnetic objects can be rapidly attracted to the magnet, becoming dangerous projectiles.
Man injured in that MRI room accident on Long Island has now died. Police say the 61-year-old entered the room without authorization on Wednesday at Nassau Open MRI while a scan was in progress. He was sucked into the MRI machine because he was wearing a metallic necklace. The man went to the hospital in critical condition, where police say he died yesterday afternoon.
Such incidents have caused severe injuries and fatalities. Strict access control and screening prevent these accidents. Conductive materials near the MRI scanner can distort magnetic fields, leading to image artifacts and degraded scan quality. Additionally, they may interfere with system operations and diagnostic accuracy. Prior to MRI scans, thorough screening of any implanted or external devices such as cables and accessories is necessary to evaluate MRI compatibility and assesses risks related to conductors. Proper positioning and use of insulation materials can reduce the chance of induced currents and heating in the conductors. Avoiding loops and ensuring minimal contact with skin are key safety steps. MRI facilities must have clear protocols for managing emergencies related to conductors, including rapid patient removal, monitoring for burns, and communication with medical teams. Apart from heating and imaging interference, external conductors can create safety risks such as electrical shocks or mechanical hazards. Proper identification and management are essential to minimize these dangers. Standards from organizations such as the FDA, IEC, and ASTM provide guidelines on MRI safety, including managing conductive materials and devices within the MRI environment. MRI centers must develop and enforce institutional policies based on applicable regulations to ensure consistent and compliant management of external conductors, and staff about MRI risks and safety procedures improves compliance and reduces incidents. Training should cover screening, emergency response, and proper use of protective equipment, as well as the safety zones. MRI safety protocols protect patients and staff from potential hazards such as projectile accidents or interference with implants. Following strict guidelines minimizes injuries and ensures the MRI suite operates safely. MRI safety zoning divides the MRI environment into controlled areas with escalating restrictions, zones 1 through 4. These systems help regulate access, ensuring only trained personnel and thoroughly screened patients enter high-risk zones. Zone 1 is the freely accessible area outside the MRI environment, such as reception or waiting rooms. It poses no magnetic risk and is open to the public and hospital staff without restrictions, where patients are screened for contraindications to MRI, such as metallic implants or devices, before entering controlled zones. Staff closely monitors patients here to ensure safety and compliance. Zone 3 restricts access to authorized personnel screened for MRI safety, serving as a buffer before the MRI scanner room. Zone 4 contains the MRI magnet itself, where the magnetic field is strongest and safety risks are at the highest. Zones 1 and 2 have minimal magnetic risk, but are critical for initial screening. Unrestricted areas without proper screening can lead to dangerous situations, such as ferromagnetic objects entering the MRI field. Comprehensive screening for implants, devices, and metallic objects is critical. Regular safety checks for the MRI environment and equipment help identify hazards early. Rapid patient evacuation. Quickly removing patients from the MRI environment is crucial during emergencies to ensure their safety, especially when there is a quench. When there is a quench, all of the oxygen is taken out of the room and the patient can asphyxiate. You need a protocol, and you also need proper training and construction of your MRI suite. A simple example is, which way does your patient room door open? If the door does not open pulling outward so that the gases can be released, the gases will push upon the door itself and not allow you to open it if you have to push inward. Educating patients about MRI procedures, safety considerations, and the importance of closing medical history helps reduce risks and anxiety, contributing to a safer MRI experience. Proper signage and physical barriers mark boundaries between safety zones. Access control tools and warnings prevent unauthorized or unscreened individuals from entering high-risk areas. Facilities must have clear emergency protocols for incidents like projectile accidents or quench events. Rapid response minimizes harm and ensures patient and staff safety. Regulatory bodies periodically update MRI safety guidelines to incorporate new findings. Staying current with these standards ensures compliance and optimal safety practices. Technologies such as ferromagnetic detection systems and advanced patient screening software and safer MRI-compatible equipment improve hazard detection and risk reduction. Emerging trends include automated safety monitoring, improved training simulations, and integration of artificial intelligence to predict and mitigate risks in real time. Ongoing efforts should focus on updating safety protocols, investing in staff training, and fostering a culture of safety to continually reduce MRI-related adverse events. MRI offers incredible diagnostic benefits, but also poses safety challenges. Thorough understanding of technology, recognizing hazards, implementing preventive measurements, and learning from past incidents, we can improve MRI safety and protect patients and staff. This is Mark Struthers, and I want to thank you for your time and for your attention. Please subscribe to the Mark Struthers channel. We look forward to doing more projects for you about medical imaging and other areas of interest. Again, thank you for your time and your attention.